let's just switch gears and go back to the Iran story. Let's bring in my dear friend Robert O'Brien, former National Security Advisor in Ms. Trump's first term. Okay, Robert, I'm not sure I know exactly what's going on, okay? I followed this story every night. We've been focused on it and so forth. One thing is Iran hasn't responded yet to this, I don't know, one-pager, this alleged one-pager that nobody's really seen. Some people say there's more than one-pager. I don't know that. We've basically now had a ceasefire for a month. I don't know exactly what we've gotten for that. I fear that Iran has done some regrouping. The regime has not changed. It's, the players may have changed, but it's still the same old gruesome thugs and Nazis that always were there with the Revolutionary Guard. I mean, I'm just not sure what's going on. You know, the Operation Freedom, okay, Project Freedom, on again, off again. I guess it's back on again, but I haven't seen evidence of that. I want America to have total dominance of the Arabian Gulf, including the Strait of Hormuz, Robert. In other words, a lot of the president's rolling up tremendous victories and crushing Iran, but all of a sudden the big train seems to have slowed. I'm not sure I understand it. So how do you see it right now? Help us out, please.
Well, the first thing, Larry, and thank you for having me, is Donald Trump is in total control. The war is going to end when Trump wants it to end. The war is going to keep going if Trump wants it to keep going. He is in control. The Iranians have no control over the situation. He's been extraordinarily generous to the Iranian regime in giving them time to come to terms with their new government, to accept the peace deal. But that peace deal hasn't changed. Whatever's in the one-page memorandum, three things are constant. Iran doesn't get a nuke, and they turn over their enriched uranium. It leaves Iran. That's a red line for President Trump. Number two, the ballistic missile program is ended, and it's already been destroyed by our military. And number three, they stopped giving money to Hamas and the Houthis and Hezbollah and Kataib Hezbollah in the Iraq factions. That's been the same since Geneva. When two months ago, when Witkoff and Kushner went to Geneva to negotiate, the Iranians threatened them and said, we're going to have a bomb in 2 weeks. President Trump said, you're not going to get a bomb in 2 weeks. You're going to get a military intervention instead. It reminds me a lot of, you and Newt were talking about, and I know that you and Newt were probably there when Jefferson was taking on the Federalists. But Jefferson took on the Barbary pirates. And this reminds me of Jefferson and the Barbary pirates. Jefferson said millions in defense, not a penny in tribute, no ransom. The Europeans were paying ransom to the sailors who were being kidnapped. President Jefferson sent the Marines. And it took a little while, but the Barbary pirates and the Barbary emirs caved. They surrendered, basically, and America had freedom of navigation. We're going to do the same thing in the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to do the same thing with Iran. But President Trump is in control.
Why is it that why have we had this endless ceasefire? And, you know, there's no, President Trump has not put any time on. It's an open-ended ceasefire. Some people are concerned that this gives Iran some breathing room, some regrouping room, maybe to fish out their missiles from the rubble, maybe to move enriched uranium. I agree with you that the Trumpian red line term sheet is not changing. I totally agree with that. But why does this endless ceasefire? I mean, right now, why didn't we give Iran, you know, a date and hour certain to respond to this one-pager or whatever it happens to be? Why is that? We're being awfully lenient, aren't we? We're being awfully accommodating, aren't we?
We are, and President Trump has been very generous and very patient with the Iranians. But remember, time is on our side, Larry. As long as the blockade stays in force, the Iranians are filling up their storage facilities with oil. And about another week, they're not going to be able to store any oil. They're going to have to shut down their platforms. They're going to have to shut down their pumping facilities. And those take a long time to restart. And so time is on our side. They think because of the midterms or because of our European allies that Trump is going to cave. President Trump has all the time in the world. You know, the Iranians use negotiations to buy time. In this instance, it's actually hurting him. And he still has the option at any given moment, if the Iranians come back and don't accept this term sheet, which they're crazy if they don't, but they may not, they're going to get hit very hard. But the reason the ceasefire is held so long is President Trump does not want to constrict the world oil supply. So he wants the new regime in Iran to use the oil, but use it responsibly, to sell it at market prices, to use it for the Iranian people and not for their missile program, not for the program, and to have those 3 million barrels a day available to the world to buy oil. But there may come a point in time, and you properly stated, that he can't be patient any longer, and he has to take out their oil production facilities and turn Iran back into a stand, and they'll have no money for nuclear weapons or ballistic missiles or anything, even if we end the blockade.
Well, I would think so. I would hope so. I mean, one of the things that I really, when he announced Project Freedom, so our Navy, all right, so we carve out a channel next to Oman, I guess. And no one's going to mess with our Navy. I mean, Iran, powder puff Iran just took a few shots from motorboats, and look what happened to them. They just got slaughtered. Good. They hope they learned the lesson. They probably didn't, but it's good. Nonetheless, I want to see 50, 100 ships, tankers, oil tankers, go through the Strait of Hormuz, and guided, led, and accompanied by the American Navy. That would send a signal to the world, Robert O'Brien. Mind you, I'm for Trump in this. I mean, I'm not going to leave him. I continue to support him. I continue to support every darn thing he's doing in Iran. But I just would like to see us show the world, including China next week, my friend, right? We're going to China next week. I want them to see that we control the entire, it's not the Persian Gulf anymore, it's the Arabian Gulf, right? Maybe it's the Trumpian Gulf for all I care. And I want to see those super tankers going through Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz. That sends a signal. That's all. I want this record, I want this movie to speed up, Robert O'Brien. That's what I'm suggesting.
You want to see Gulf of America too?
Yeah, I do. I honestly do.
And look, I think if the Iranians are stupid enough, they just might be, not to accept this generous deal that President Trump has laid out on the table for them. I mean, keep in mind, he's working for peace. President Trump is a pacifist. He does not want war. He's doing everything he can to get a peace deal with them. If they turn it down, they're gonna get consequences that are beyond anything they can imagine.
Yeah.
And I hope to heck that they don't. I hope they take the path of peace. But unfortunately, these are fanatics, as you pointed out. They're like the Nazis of 70, 80 years ago. They're killers and thugs. And then they may not take the peaceful path, and if they don't, they're going to pay a penalty for it. But I agree with you. 100 tankers a day.
Yeah. Not only will that bring the oil supply into better balance and probably bring down prices a goodly amount, but it speaks volumes about the power and control of the United States. You follow me? That's what I want to see. I don't want to see Iran nitpicking, motorboating, or anything. I want to see I want the whole world to see what we are doing and what we can do and what we will do, Robert O'Brien. That's what I want.
I think we may see that very soon, Larry.
All right. Well, you know more than I do. You know best, and I hope you're right. Robert O'Brien, everybody, great friend and national security advisor. Appreciate it.